Hello, everybody, and welcome to our second episode of the Gathering Place
podcast.
I'm Hope Seaman, and this is my hubby, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And we are here today to finish up this conversation.
Yep.
So, Joe, tell us a little bit about, we ended the last episode with a few little conversations about how he got into real estate, where he was going, what some of his journey was, and he had joined a team. And so I kind of wanted to end that last one so we could talk a little bit more about that today. It's a bit broader of a story.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to talk a little bit about that. So the team aspect.
Okay.
Let's go there.
All right, on our last episode, we just kind of gave a general, broad brushstroke of how we came into real estate, what happened, and all that. So I went to real estate school. Then, fresh out of real estate school, I joined a team. And so I thought that was kind of the thing to do, and it was cool. I learned a lot of...
I actually kind of pushed you to do that.
Yes. I learned a ton of valuable things to do and a ton of valuable things of what not to do.
Right.
And so with the team aspect, they were very transparent, like I said on the last episode, about we're kind of giving you the crap leads.
Well, they didn't say crap, but yes.
They kind of did say crap.
Maybe they did.
These are the junk leads, and good luck converting them into closings.
Yeah.
And so I took that as a challenge. I'm very challenge focused, and if you give me a challenge, I'm going to grab it by the horns and absolutely wrangle it all the way to the floor.
Right. No is not in your vocabulary.
No is not in my vocabulary. Or, you're not going to be able to close but 1 out of 100 of these leads. And so I took that as a challenge. Ended up closing 8 out of the 100 leads that they gave me. Right. When they said, I'll be lucky to close 1 out of 100. And so I felt like that was a really great victory to kind of celebrate.
And you also had the fact that, our whole entire family dynamic was riding on this as well. So it wasn't like there was another income coming into the house. Like this was sink or swim.
Yeah, it was sink or swim.
So
our backs were against the wall.
Right.
This is a very transparent podcast. Very transparent time. Our backs were literally against the wall to where I'm not even kidding.
Right.
Counting quarters out of our money jar that everybody has in their closet. Literally putting quarters together to put gas in my car to go show these properties. And so, but on the outside, no one knew anything was going on.
Just
smiled. It was just smile.
And you put your best foot forward.
Put your best foot forward. We smiled and kept going because I just knew this was my calling.
Right.
Like I knew real estate was it. I was having a great time, even though things were very tight. We were literally eating macaroni and cheese.
Not even at that point. We have to. That's a little bit later in the story.
It was tough.
It was tough then, but it got a little bit more tough.
Yeah. So I love to tell people that, during that journey, I would just lay in the bed at night because I couldn't sleep, thinking about how are we going to make all of our bills, just watching the ceiling fan turn round and round and round.
So let's talk about, you were doing good, the team, you were learning, you were very hungry.
We were very hungry.
You were hungry because we were hungry.
I really didn't understand the aspects of how real estate actually worked. And so I come from a business background to where I was very regimented every day. Knew what I was going to do from 8 to 5:30 every single day. And real estate is very different. You really don't know what you're going to do the next day until you get calls and you have buyers that say, hey, can we go look at this property? Because at that time I was a buyer's agent. And so that was my job, is to show properties. And until someone said, hey, can we go look at this property? It's not like I can line up buyer A, B, and C and say we're going to see these 5 properties, buyer A and buyer B, meet me at 12 o'clock and we're going to go see these 5 properties. It just doesn't work that way. So you're literally just waiting on a buyer to say, can we go look at this property? And so your day is not regimented in real estate.
And you would go, hey, I got any more leads?
I really wanted...
Hey, is there something else out there?
Everything. I was just so hungry.
Right.
I wanted to go on every buyer appointment that the team leads went on. I wanted to go on every listing appointment that the team leads went on. I wanted to go to every closing just to sit there that the team leads went on.
And wanted to find out what was
I just wanted to find out all aspects because in the early stages, there weren't a ton of buyers to go
Right.
show property to. So anyways, I just wanted to stay busy. I love being busy. Like, I thrive on being busy. I don't do well with a lot of downtime.
Right.
And so I really like being busy. So I just wanted to stay busy. Like, just let me follow you around. And there would be days to where there was nothing happening.
Right.
Like, no buyer leads, no seller leads, no closings, no anything to go to. And it was tough. So I would just be on the computer, emailing people about, hey, come see me at this open house Sunday, or things like that, just trying to generate interest, just letting people know what I'm doing. My whole entire sphere knew what I was doing. I would
Yes.
message people on Facebook, on social media. I literally would do video text, texting everybody I knew to let them know I was in real estate, because I was bored. Like, I had nothing else to do. I'd quit my family business job, and so real estate was it. And we are part of an MLM. And so we were trying to drum that up and make that even bigger
Well,
during
and
that
it
time
actually
too,
kind of
because
gave us the segue a little bit into all of this too. It kind of gave us the opportunity to realize, oh, wait a minute, there's a little bit of different lifestyle that can be achieved through, not the traditional 9 to 5 weekly paycheck kind of thing. So, of course, you can go back to our first episode and hear more of the story about the beginnings of where Joe started out working at 12 years old. But the MLM did help us. It kind of gave us that little bit of a cushion. And so, and like you said before, we'd already kind of laid out finances, sold some stuff. We thought we were prepared. And so we learned a lot. And during this time, things were tight. But we had no clue they were going to get tighter, which is kind of where I want to take you to now. So, again, very hungry, probably not your traditional buyer's agent. Now that we're more educated in the realm of the difference in teams, aspects, what team aspects work, which ones don't, we now know that you are a little bit hungrier than most buyer's agents are. And so let's throw that into, you got the phone call or got the email or whatever that said, hey, we want to talk to you.
Right. So, all right. So it was on or around September 1st of 2018. I'd been with the team since April. So I don't know, 4 or 5 months maybe. Not very long. I was very hungry. So I would every single day or every night, I'd be like, hey, what are we doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
Hey, do you have any other buyer leads? Hey, can I go to a listing appointment with you? Can I just ride with you? Like, I literally
like we now
just
know those are not things.
I literally
but at the
just
time-
needed to do something because,
Right.
again, there's only so much around the house you can do.
Right.
There's only so much of just downtime that I'm cut out
Right.
for. Now, knowing that a lot of real estate agents just run their businesses, and this isn't a bad thing, but it works for some people. It doesn't work for me. They run their businesses just from one closing to the next. Like, we run it like a real
We
business.
really
and
do.
so,
Yeah.
during that time, I got a phone call. No, I got an email saying, we'd like to meet with you at the office. I don't know.
And before this, you had already you'd brought in a listing.
I brought in a
too.
listing.
So you thought you thought things were really, they were really good. We were all super proud of
The
you.
brokerage was shining a lot of spotlight on the newbie agent. We haven't had a really new agent in our branch for quite a while, but I was hustling. And when I tell you hustling, I was hustling. And so there was a lot of spotlight coming on Joe, from the brokerage, not necessarily on the team. The spotlight wasn't on the team. The spotlight was more on Joe. And so I can't say that I didn't like that, because I did.
Right, but you just thought you're doing, you felt like you're very confident in your position. So when you went in.
Yeah. But I used to be like a lot behind the scenes,
Yes.
like no
Yeah.
spotlight on me at all.
Yes.
I don't really care what I do.
Believe
but
it or not, he used to be really quiet.
coming into real estate,
Really quiet.
I wouldn't say 2 words.
And Drew
Like,
over here probably never heard him talk, because we all grew up. We
Yeah,
grew up with
well,
him. We
yeah.
grew up. We're much older than him, but he grew up watching us, and you never talked. I talked.
Yeah.
You didn't. So yeah,
It would
this
be the
was
type
different.
to where
This
Hope
was a
would talk.
different-
Like we would leave church.
Yeah.
I'd go straight for the car, and I'd have to wait for Hope for 20 or 30 minutes
Yeah.
to finish socializing with everybody, because I wasn't about to talk to anybody.
No.
Like, I was going to go get in the
So-
car, get the kids, get in the car, and wait on Hope.
Yes.
But now coming into real estate and just kind of really being able to become who I truly am through real estate. You know, we grew up and we're in the southern region of the United States, you know, very boxed in. And I say this all the time, you don't know what you don't know or what you're not exposed to. And so, you know, very traditional families, both of us come from very traditional families, like you work with your hands and you earn a good living and that's how you get paid. I didn't really realize there were other ways to make money other than working with your hands.
Right.
So, getting back to receiving the email of, hey, we would like to meet you at the office. It was September 1st. It was around 9 or 10 in the morning. So I'm all excited. I'm thinking they're calling me in. I'm going to be named one of their partners.
Which was your dream at that time.
It was my dream
that was
at
your
that time.
dream, was to be a partner.
For us three to be on all the graphics.
Yes,
and
that was...
for them to name me as their partner, and it was now the three of us instead of just the two of them. But I remember getting dressed up, and I was so excited. Like, I put on my slacks, my white shirt. I was so ready to come and have this meeting because I knew what was going to happen. Like, I just knew they were so proud. And at that time, we had closed like 8 transactions, and I brought in a listing. So with the team aspect, it's kind of like back office stuff. But with this listing, I procured on my own. I asked for just a slight bit more percentage. And so they brought me in. I'm like, hey, they're going to give me what I want. We're going to be named partners. So I get dressed up, come in the back door of the office, and I'll turn the corner, and there's one of the partners sitting in the office with the lights off. And she's just very solemn. So I'm like, oh boy, I don't think this is what I thought it was going to be.
Right.
And so I'm walking in, trying to make small talk. I'm not very good at small talk at all. Like, I want to get to business. So I walk in, I'm talking to this other one, making small talk until the other partner gets there. And it was very difficult because I could feel and sense something wasn't right. Like, something that I was thinking was not going on, if that makes sense. And so
well, it does to me, but I really
with that, the other partner comes in, they sit me down and says, your time with us is over. And I'm like, this is a joke, right? Because I'm doing all these great things. Like, I'm making y'all money. I'm barely making any money, but y'all are making money. The brokerage is making money. I've got this great listing. Like, what in the world is happening here? And so basically they just said, we're booting you out of the nest.
Right.
Like,
and especially that's how it felt at the time.
Yes, and it was devastating. Like, literally devastating. We're in the downstairs office. The minute the meeting's over, I'm just like, I can't even think straight. Like, I have no idea what's going on. I literally have no idea of what to do at that point because I'd been on this team. Like, they were guiding me through everything. So I walk upstairs to the broker's office, and I'm like, hey, I've got to speak to you. And so she welcomed me in and closed the door, and I just said, I don't think real estate is in the cards for me. I think I'm going to have to get out of real estate because they just booted me off the team. I really don't know what to do. They'd cut my contacts off, my email off. That was a little thing in itself. So at that time, it was tough because I had nothing to go off of. Kept letting people know I was in real estate. Started applying again for outside jobs, like at local plants and Lowe's. Literally, like, applying for those type jobs. Anything at that point. That was in the fall of 2018. Tough. And so I remember laying in the bed, like, during the middle of the day one day because I couldn't get out of bed because I was just not, tell people I kind of sunk into a little depression in 2018. Like, that was a devastating blow.
It really was, because we did not expect that.
And it was a great friend of ours who we thought was a friend of ours at the time that was one of the team leads. And it was just tough. It was very, very tough. And
but
it was tough.
It was tough. It was. I mean, but let me tell you something about my husband. he keeps going all the time. So like anything that hits you, you kept going. You drag us with you and you kept going. And I remember going out of town with my mom for a bachelorette party for one of my cousins. And like, I couldn't afford to do that. Thankfully, my mom paid for it. And like, I just remember it was just hard. It was hard. And I don't want to like spend too much time in negative land. It was a very humbling experience. It was very tough. So with all that to say, where we're at, and what I want to say is you went so far as to even go out of town to work a storm in Florida just to kind of make things.
It was like Hurricane Michael or something.
It was something. I don't even know, but it was a hurricane in Florida.
I left in the middle of the night.
And he did. He literally left
while
in the
you're
middle
out
of
of
the
town.
night while I was out of town.
And our twins and boys
Yes.
are at home. And I
Yes.
leave them with my parents to go work this job.
Yeah.
So I completely leave real estate at the time. Like, I just had to leave. Like, I didn't. The broker still had my license, but I had to do what we
Something.
could do to
But
provide
that
for our
was
family.
turning point.
And that was kind of like, you go out of town and you work this storm cleanup, and you have no idea how
6
long you're
weeks.
gone. Like, they tell you, like, come, and we don't know how long you're going to be here. It could be 2 weeks, could be 6 weeks, it could be 3 months. We don't know.
It was 6 weeks.
It was tough. But anyways.
But it was the greatest.
It was the greatest thing.
blessing.
So
It was the greatest blessing.
from that, I was able to think a lot about what had
Yes.
happened with the team, and like, I was going to make this happen. So I worked the storm October, some of November. I come back, and I remember in November getting a call from one of our friends saying, "Hey, I've got this. I want to sell my house. When can you come and talk to me and my wife?" And I'm like, "What are y'all doing this afternoon?
Where you
Because I
gonna
can
be?
be there."
How long does it take us to
So
get there?
that was kind of like the turning point.
Yeah.
With that storm cleanup, of course, it's great money. You have to be out of town, away
Yeah.
from your family and all.
Yeah.
And we weren't in a bad location. We were in Panama City. So we weren't in a terrible
But
location.
even then, which I know we're going to wrap this up in a minute because we've got to segue into even more of the story. But I mean, so it was, like I was going in between cars at that time as to which car had more gas in it.
Yeah.
So you were driving your dad's truck and
And they didn't pay you while you're working the
you
storm.
don't pay, you get paid afterwards.
You get
So
paid after.
we were going in between.
Yeah.
Like I would go, okay, well, I can drive Joe's truck because my car was getting low on gas. We just got real creative. But there was something at that time that happened in both of our minds that just shifted. And things started to change. And like you said, you got home, your friend was like, hey, and that really just kind of changed the narrative.
The light bulb
for both
went
of
off.
us.
I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm like, I can make this work.
Yes.
So it wasn't that bad. We literally put the house on the market the day before Thanksgiving. I had an open house the day before Thanksgiving. Other agents in our brokerage was like, okay, whatever. That's kind of crazy. Never heard of that. However, that house went under contract the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And so I was fortunate enough to list that house, procure a contract, close on it in January. And then at that
started
point,
from
it was
there.
kind of like, okay, I can make this work. At that time, we were getting a few more friends calling us saying, hey, I'm looking for a place, or keep me in mind if you see anything. So I was just working our sphere of influence. And things just changed for us in 2019. And so we were able to kind of come out of the deep, dark hole that a lot of people get into and don't think they're going to be able to come out of. But we were fortunate enough to be able to come out of it. And it's been good.
And then that'll segue into us how we came out of it as far as how you and I work together.
Oh,
That's always fun.
yes.
So-
A lot of fun. So anyways, thank y'all for
Yes.
joining us on episode 2.
We probably don't even need to start saying episodes. We're going to get messed up here if we're going to do hundreds of thousands of these things.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to keep up with these numbers.
So, but this is episode 2
Okay.
of the Gather in Place podcast. And so tons of fun. Hope you are getting some value
Yes.
out of this. I know we're just ordinary Joe and Hope type people, but we kind of have a little bit of an extraordinary life.
Yes.
So it's fun. We enjoy it.
It is.
And so thank you all for
always
joining us.
entertaining.
Yep.
See
Bye.
you later. Bye.